to introduce to you Carol Ray. She's one of the former trainers who's featured in the film Blackfish.
Good morning. Good morning. I'd first like to extend a really huge and heartfelt thank you to Assemblymember Bloom for introducing AB 2140. I'm honored to play even a small role in what I consider to be an incredibly important and potentially historic legislation. Like many people, I grew up as an animal lover with a curious fascination for whales and dolphins in particular. And when I found myself in the position of being an orca trainer at SeaWorld of Florida, it took me no time at all to fall completely in love with the amazing and unique animals I was working with. I considered myself to be very lucky. I spent my first days at Shamu Stadium being awed by the orcas and dazed by the incredible spectacle of the shows. I was, like the general public, fooled by the flashy veneer and the facade of happy animals. It did not take long for doubts to creep in. I worked with 6 orcas over the course of my employment, each of them unique, with personalities as different as any 6 different people here today. Only one of them is still alive. As an orca trainer, I watched in absolute wonder at the birth of 2 baby orcas, but I also watched in horror as the original baby Shamu, Kalina, was forcibly removed from the only family she ever knew to be moved to another park. I saw and felt in my heart the mourning and desperation of her mother who was left behind. I helplessly watched an adult male orca, Kandup, who in his obvious torment regularly rammed himself as hard as he possibly could into every solid surface in his tank. The stage area shook literally like an earthquake from the force of it. His face, his teeth, his rostrum, they were so beat up we sometimes could not bring him out to do shows because he looked too bad for the public to see. And as if it were not bad enough that he beat himself up, I recall the heartache of watching him be relentlessly attacked by the other whales, regularly. There was nowhere for him to escape. As I saw it, Kandup's life was truly a nightmare. He died from mosquito-transmitted encephalitis, likely because he spent so much time logging on the surface of the water swarmed by mosquitoes every night, something that would never have happened in the wild. I worked closely with a female orca named Gudrun, who will always have a special place in my heart. It took some time for her to adjust to her new tank and the strangers within it after being shipped to Florida from the Netherlands. Her loud and frantic cries were heard throughout the park for months. I was devastated to learn of the circumstances of her traumatic death a few years after I quit. Her 3rd pregnancy resulted in a stillbirth, which was mechanically winched from her. She hemorrhaged and died a few days later. Regrettably and ironically, her first offspring, Taima, one of the 2 babies I had seen born, ultimately died of a similar complication during delivery of a stillborn. These stories are very personal to me because they're about orcas that I knew and I loved. But I know that these are only a fraction of the stories of suffering that all orcas endure in captivity. These are the things I cannot forget, and they're why I am here today, co-sponsoring AB 2140. I've seen firsthand what goes on behind the curtain, and I know these incredible beings deserve so much better. I'm grateful they have found a friend in Assemblymember Richard Bloom. Thank you.